We're going to be looking at how to configure the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit for our Windows deployment services so they can work together. So go to Start, click on Deployment Workbench, or if you cannot find this, go under Microsoft Deployment Toolkit that you've installed in the past and click on Deployment Workbench. Once you open up the deployment workbench, you will notice that on the left side we have the workbench, information center, and deployment shares. And on the right and in the middle we have Microsoft Deployment Toolkit information. Feel free to read if you want to know more about MDT. And on this right side, I will just basically close this if you want. And leave it like that. If you want, you can just minimize it. So step number 1, go and click on deployment share. So right click on deployment share and click on new deployment share. Okay, new deployment share wizard. Once the wizard opens up, deployment share path, feel free to change the path to any location you want on your server, but I'm going to leave it to C column deployment share, and I'm going to go next. All right, specify the share name to be used when with the local path. So I'm going to leave it by default to be my UNC path name, which is //dev100 /deployment share. So I'm going to click on next. And deployment share description, what do you want to give the name? I'll just give it like TechAkin deployment share. I'll rename that to TechAkin deployment share. Exactly. And I'm going to go on. This name will show up at the top of our at the roots of our deployment share. So we click next, and I'll leave this by default. All right, I'm going to go next, and all of the necessary details have been specified. Please review the values below. I'm confident and I accept the values, and I will click next. Now MDT is a successfully added MDT drive DS001 to the persisted drive list, so which simply means the process completed successfully. We now have a full-fledged deployment share where we can store our image, our boot image. So click on finish, and now as you can see we have a deployment share. If you click on deployment share, you can see it lists all of the applications, operating systems, drivers, packages, our task sequences, and other advanced configuration. So the next step for us is to go into File Explorer and go and look at C drive. As you can see, we now have inside our C, we have a deployment share. If you open it up, we also have the same order as we have here. We have applications, we have boot. This is where our boot image are going to be stored. We have the operating system. That's where when we upload operating system, it's going to be stored here. And packages and scripts and so on. We have default script that we can take a look at, that we can edit and configure for our server. So the next thing to do is basically to go and add operating system to our deployment share. We need to quickly mount all our operating systems, which we required when we are when we are importing our operating system deployment share. So basically go inside your tools. You remember the one we downloaded in the beginning. Go inside that, and this is where all your Windows 7 installation files, Windows 8 installation files, and Windows 10 installation file. You must have downloaded a copy of this. If if you remember from the beginning. So go ahead and right click on each of them. Let's start with Windows 7. So right click and click on mount. All right, once you click on mount, you see it's mounted all of the boot files into a drive, and that drive is drive E, as you can see. All right, so go ahead and write down the drive number, then go back into the tool, then mount Windows 8 as well. Right click and click on mount. As you can see, all the installation file is mounted into drive G. So let's go back to that and see drive G. And last but not least, let's mount our Windows 10. So go to Windows 10, right click and click on mount. Okay, it's mounted into F. So as you can see, basically, so all these three installation files, Windows 7, Windows 8 and Windows 10, is now mounted. Write down all these drive E, drive F and drive G. You will need them in the next step.